script and run the script. Okay, and here we have chosen a tool called Selenium. And we have chosen a programming language, Java. By using this, what is the use of this? We will automate the test cases. What is the use? We will automate the test cases which are written by a manual tester on the target application or on the application under test, we can call. And let's go ahead and discuss about futures of automation, because if you want to automate something, you'd like to know what are the different features of automation, why we wanted to go for automation testing. And I would like to go ahead and say something about the testing. Like initially when the application came for testing, we'll go ahead and do smoke testing. After some build fixes, we'll go ahead and do sanity testing. Once these testings are to be done, 60 to 70% of application is to be stable, then we will go ahead and do the regression testing. Then we'll start the automation. That means this automation testing can be performed on regression. And obviously the second feature is, suppose a manual tester has 500 test cases. He can execute 5 test cases per day or 100 test cases per day. How many days he will take? 100 into 5, 5 days he will take. Suppose if the same 500 test cases is given to an automation tester, if he automated those test cases, the test cases can run within 1.5 days only. That means we are saving the execution time of the test cases. And suppose in the same case, I will take another case. The 500 test cases may take some more time for the manual tester if there are any issues, like 2 days, 6 days or 8 days. If there is no issues with the scripts will work on 1.5 day itself. Okay, that means what we are doing, saving the execution time of test cases. And obviously the third thing is reducing manual effort. Since we are automating the test cases, whatever the manual tester is doing, we are reducing the amount of time so that all the tests are automated, which is having reporting, which is having screenshots, so that the tester will see the screenshots and find the root cause of the problem. If there is any defect in the application, definitely he will log the defect in some of the test management tools like Jira or ALM, application lifecycle management tool, so that developers will take care of it. And there are some tasks which we want to do repeatedly, like in some of the e-commerce application, he want to add n number of products. What he want to do? He want to take a image, he want to take some of the data, he want to click on some buttons. All these tasks are very similar, but the input parameters are different. Like sometime he is entering watch, some description, clicking on button. Clock, entering some description, clicking on button. That means input parameters are different, but all the tasks which are doing are the same. That's why repeatable tasks are to be automated. Repeatable tasks are to be automated. And as I said, since we can run the scripts in lesser time than the manual tester, we can easily identify the bugs. And we have a proof also, we have a screenshot along with the reporting. If all these things are to be maintained, definitely one thing is to be proved, that is called as quality. As I said, if the application is satisfying user friendly and the customer requirements, then only we can say that is a quality product. So by automating, since all the things are going positive, I mean to say all the test scripts are to be passed, so that we can ensure the customer that it is a quality product or application. Okay, these are the different types of features of automation. I will give 1 minute of time. Please go ahead and see these features of automation. This is the reason we are going for automation. See for 1 minute, so that I will go ahead with the differences between Selenium and QTP after 1 minute. Okay, assuming there is no questions, I am going to forward and describe about what are the differences between Selenium and UFT. Obviously, the first difference is, folks, I would like to know from you.
Selenium is open source, whereas UFT is commercial.
Perfect. Selenium is an open source tool, whereas UFT is costly and commercial. It is very costly than some other tools, commercial. And Selenium can support 5 languages: Java, C Sharp, Perl, Python, and Ruby. Whereas UFT supports, any one of you? It supports only VB script. Okay, it supports only VB script. And nowadays there is one of the tool which came into market by UFT people, I mean to say HP people, that is called as LeanFT. Okay, with this LeanFT, what that guy has done is he has integrated UFT features with the Selenium features. He has going to release that tool. He has released the beta version. He's going to do in the future of the same, integrating Selenium features with that. But as of now, if you consider EFT, it supports only VB script only. And here, coming to the browser perspective, it supports Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, and somehow Opera, like that. But whereas here it supports only Internet Explorer and Firefox. That too, the latest versions of Firefox will not be used. Some later versions like 24 or 23, the versions are to be used there. But in Selenium, we can use the latest versions. Suppose if the version is 41, we can use up to use 38.0 like that. And the latest version of Selenium is 2.47.1. And the con here is supports only web applications, supports web and client server applications. I mean to say desktop based applications. And coming to this perspective, since this is an open source, it is very flexible. I mean to say there is so many features, and we can also write some code and get some approval from the Selenium people. That is called as we want to extend the functionalities of Selenium. Okay, we can it is flexible and extendable, but whereas in UFT we can't extend any features since it is commercial. We want to have the features which is provided by HP only. Okay, these are the different types of differences which I recognize in my experience. Please see for 2 minutes or 1 minute so that I will go ahead with when to automate and what are the different types of or life cycle of automation, ATLC, automation testing life cycle. Okay, now see these things for 2 minutes. Okay, I hope there is no doubts here. Let's move on. When to automate? Okay, guys, we are going ahead to do automation, but we would like to know when to automate. I'm asking you when to automate.
When there is a certain action to be repeatedly executed, like repeatedly have to
Yeah,
be executed, then that's the time when we automate to reduce the manual effort.
definitely, definitely. That is one of the reason. But if a suppose a project came to your company for manual testing, okay, we are doing smoke testings, anti-testing and all, and the client is a client you have in a SOW statement of work to do automation testing also. When you say to the client that we are going for automation, we want to start automation testing now. You got my question, right? What is my question is, suppose a manual project came to your company, but in the SOW there is a chance for automation testing for the same. Then after some days you want to say to the client that we want to start automation testing. What is that particular time you will say to the client? Okay, can I say two things? When the test cases pass percentage is more, when the test cases pass percentage is more, that means that the application getting very stable. That means whatever the defects which is raised by a tester, slowly they are accepted by the developer as bugs. They are resolving slowly, the application are getting stable. That means when the test cases are passing and the percentage is more, then we want to go ahead for automation. And most probably when there is no blockers, no dependencies, no showstoppers which are exist in the application, then we can go ahead for automation. Okay, these are the two things. I will write here what will be not there in the application. One is blockers, showstoppers, dependencies will not be there in application. Then only we want to go ahead and automate. Now is it clear, folks? All of you? When to automate? Okay. And now let me go ahead and discuss about autumn. Since it is a first class, you should know about all the theoretical concept, but going on classes are very practical. Whatever we say in the class should be in a practical method. If you want to learn all those things, since someone will ask, okay folks, you are doing automation testing, could you please explain me about features of automation testing? Could you please explain me, okay, you have chosen Selenium as a tool, could you please explain me what Selenium gives other than the commercial tool like PFT? Okay, and somehow you went to an interviews and they will be asked, okay, you have done manual testing, but when you will take the scenarios to go ahead and automate, and someone will ask, okay, you got complete software testing life cycle, it's very awesome, but I would like to know what are the different life cycle phases which are going into automation. Because when you are increasing the expertise, when you are increasing your experience in the testing, you should be knowing the ins and outs of testing. Okay, whatever the ins and outs, like the complete life cycle, from taking the project from a customer, from the pre-sales activities to final test closure, you should be having sound knowledge on each and every aspect, so that wherever you go, wherever the company you go, you'll have command on the subject, you'll have command on the application. So obviously there will be a win-win situation both for you as for the company also. Okay, and let me take the automation testing life cycle for you, ATLC. The first is automation feasibility and analysis. This is also called as requirement gathering session. What we will do in the automation feasibility and analysis is, requirements are to be given by the customer, or we want to define some requirements like what are the different tools you'd like to have. Since your application supports, Selenium supports your application to automate, okay, can we go ahead with Selenium? Okay, do you want any screenshots? Do you want any kind of testing mechanisms? Do you want any image comparison mechanisms? Do you want to read the test data from Excel? All these things you want to ask. Anyways, I will provide you a detailed notes about these things, okay, so that it will be good for you when you read those concepts, when you read those questions, it will be useful. And somehow I am going to touch the same. In the automation feasibility analysis, we want to see whether the requirements are clear and crisp, because once the requirements are signed off from the customer, if we want to change, there would be a big impact on the business. That's why when we are signing the statement of work, there will be a document called SOW. When we are signing the statement of work, we should be very clear about the requirements. Once the requirements are accepted, you want to do at any cost within the stipulated time and within the stipulated budget. Okay. And coming to the automation feasibility analysis, here what we will do is how and what to be automated. I would like to write here what to be automated. And what are the different types of modules you want to test? Let me take an e-commerce application. Like the e-commerce application should contain add to cart, login, search, payment gateways. These are the different ways. That's why we want to be very clear what are the modules we are going to automate, and we want to identify the test cases to be automated. Identification of test cases in the sense, suppose all manual test cases are not to be automated. Some manual test cases will be there like that to find the look and feel of the application. Will the automation tool can find the look and feel? It doesn't have any artificial intelligence, right? That's why it doesn't, we can't do those kind of operations. That's why we want to as an automation tester, we want to manually execute the test cases. I mean to say manually navigate through the application and see whether we can automate these kind of scenarios or not. Okay, so that we can go ahead and see. And after that we want to analyze whether the application is suitable for this tool or not. And once this all to be done, if you are following a perfect process, for every phase there will be a thing called review. Okay, in the companies what we will do is, after doing drafting all these things, we will place a document and we will have a meeting and we will review all these things, and it should be decided by an authority called test manager. Once it is reviewed, it is released to the customer. Okay, this is the first phase, and these are the different types of things which we are going to do. And the second one is, once these things are done, we go ahead with test plan and design. There is two types of designs, like high level design and low level design. In okay, we'll plan and design. What we want to do is, whatever the manual tests which are written by them, we want to analyze the steps and we want to go for automation steps. Okay, and the second one is, we want to identify frameworks, whether the customer is going for modular driven, whether the customer is going for some test data which is taken from external source, that is meant by data driven testing, whether the customer wants some keywords which is driven from Excel, so that he want to take it from all the things from Excel, whether he wants keyword driven framework, or whether the customer want to go with testing with page by page basis. Like there is a model called page object model, whether he want to go ahead with that. All these things we want to analyze. Okay, once these things are analyzed, we want to analyze pros and cons of the framework, and we want to finalize the framework. Okay. Once framework is finalized, we finalize one of the framework. After that, as per the functionality, we want to categorize the scripts. Okay, these are the search functionality test cases. Okay, these are the add to cart functionality test cases. These are test cases related to login functionality. Like that, we want to categorize test cases as per functionality. And after that, in the test plan, here we want to give effort estimation. Like these are the test cases. This is the effort estimation for development, testing, execution, review. Okay, and this is the cost for man hours. In the same way, we want to give effort estimation. Once we have given the effort estimation about the size of the project, about the cost of the project, number of test cases to be automated, we want to review all those things. Once this is reviewed, then only these things are to be shared by the customer. Okay, we have requirements, we have planned, we have gone through limitations, assumptions, deliverables, what is the schedules, what are the different types of functionalities. Now we'll go ahead and set up some test environment setup. Test environment setup in the sense, as per the requirements, we want to download the softwares, we want to have some hardware setup also, and we want to have network also. Since in the first session we have a requirements like since we want to automate Selenium, what are the hardware requirement? You should have a laptop with some 500 GB hard disk with some i5 processor minimum. And in the same way, when a product came to the company, we want to have a machines, and we want to download the same softwares in order to automate the application by Selenium. That is called as test environment setup based on the architecture of our things. Like if you want Excel to be installed, if you want Google Chrome, IE, Firefox, those softwares are to be installed. If you want some some functions, if you want to ask for Selenium libraries to be downloaded, all these things are called softwares and hardwares like machines or infrastructure. These are to be set up, and once all these things are to be set up, you want to go ahead with automation script generation. What is we'll do in automation script generation? Any one of you? Okay, we have the requirements, we have the test plans, we have all the setup ready. Now what we need to do?
Start writing the JavaScript in Eclipse.
Yes, perfect. That means creating of test scripts, not JavaScripts, test scripts. Test scripts which are written in Java in our view. Okay. And the second thing is identify the reusable methods. Anyhow, during the sessions you will get to know what is reusable methods, how we want to make them reusable, okay, all these things. But once you start having all these things, you want to create test scripts, you want to have reusable methods, and somehow you want to group common test cases. Like we are testing login functionalities, there are so many things like login with valid, invalid, invalid, special characters. And if you go to search, whether this, if you type shirts, whether shirts are getting like that, we want to group the common test cases or test scripts, and we want to finalize the test scripts, and again the same thing, review. We should review whether we met the coding standards or not, whether we met the naming conventions or not, whether the project is very modular or not, whether all the things are in a reusable format or not, whether the variables are declared correctly or not, I mean to say initialized or not, whether the return types are written or not, whether the Java doc is placed or not. All these things, when I'm reviewing the other scripts, I would like to see each and every granular point, because if you provide quality work here, we'll get more and more things from the external business point of view. Because since an application came to manual, automation, performance, security, like that, we want to drag the business from the customer if you provide these things as a quality product. And after that, test execution. Okay, we have done the scripts, test execution. What we will do here?
Run the test scripts that we have written or
That
execute
means,
them.
yeah, execution of test scripts you want to say, okay? Running is nothing but execution. Execution of test scripts. And after that, you want to maintain a status report. Status report in the sense, how many test cases got passed, how many test cases got failed, what is the reason for the issue, whether there may be an application issue, whether there may be a script issue, whether there may be environment issue. Like that, you want to categorize the issue and you want to prepare a status report like test cases passed, failed, environment executed on the browser. And once these things are to be done, you want to log the defects. If there is anything which is deviating from the expected value versus the actual value from the application, we want to go ahead and log the defects. This is the things we want to go do. And after that, once these things are to be done, we'll go ahead with test closure. That means we'll sign off, we'll automate all the test cases, we'll provide all the summary reports, and sometimes the projects will come into maintenance activities. That means again we want to do, okay, running, fixing the defects in the scripts. Those are the things which we'll do in the maintenance. Okay, these are the different types of things which we will do during automation testing life cycle. I would like to give you 2 minutes of time. Please go ahead and see these things. Okay, these are the automation testing life cycle. And now let me go ahead and explain about components of Selenium. In the interviews, they will ask the first thing like what are the different components of Selenium. You want to say Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, which is called as Selenium 1. After that, Selenium WebDriver. What they have done in Selenium 2 is they have integrated Selenium RC with WebDriver and they are calling it as Selenium 2. So many people they will think Selenium 2 means Selenium WebDriver and Selenium Grid. These are the different types of components which are there in Selenium. Let me go ahead and give you a brief introduction about these types of components. Initially, I would like to go ahead with Selenium IDE. What is IDE stands for? Any one of you?
Integrated data development environment.
Yes, perfect. Integrated development environment, which is used where all the features are to be provided by the tool, just we want to make use of those features, that is called as an IDE. Since Selenium IDE is there, you are a novice user, you are not able to code, we can go ahead initially with Selenium IDE. It is a record and playback tool, so that we can record the scripts and run the scripts, and it is an add-on for Mozilla Firefox only. No other browser supports this. And whatever the user actions which we will do, since in the recording what we'll do, we'll click on record button, we'll do all the user actions as a manual tester, and we will stop recording. All the actions which are done by the user is called as user actions, and we can run the scripts on different browsers. In this we can run the script on only the browser we recorded, but if you want to run with different browsers, we'll take the help of Selenium WebDriver or RC. Nowadays RC is outdated, no one is using it. WebDriver has so many features. It's a just advanced version which came up with the cons of Selenium RC. And the future is we can export in different languages. We can export the script in different languages. Okay, if anyone asks about what do you know about Selenium IDE, you can briefly describe them these things. Okay, let me go ahead with Selenium RC. RC stands for any one of you? Remote control. Okay, RC stands for remote control. It has a server which launches on the browser. It is called as Selenium core. Once it is launched, it is to be driven like the JavaScript is to be launched on the browser and all the actions are to be done. But there is a thing called same origin policy. It will automate only the pages which are having that type of domain only. If it is exchanging, it will not go ahead and automate. Okay, the con here is same origin policy. That's why what in the WebDriver, in the component Selenium WebDriver they have taken is, for each and every browser they have developed a concept called driver. Okay, that's why what they have done, browser specific implementation. No need of anything JavaScript to be included. I would like to have a driver for each and every browser. Like for Firefox, I can have browser, Firefox driver, Chrome driver, IE, Internet Explorer driver, Safari driver, so that I can implement the features by using this browser specific implementation, so that I can go ahead and record all the things by using these things. Okay. And Selenium grid. If you want to do distributed testing or remote testing, I mean to say, suppose if you have some scripts, you want to execute the same scripts in the other machine, which is in remote machine, okay? Then you want to use the component, you want to integrate the components of Selenium grid so that we can execute the scripts. Anyways, since you are a novice users, I will go and teach about Selenium IDE and the latest one, Selenium WebDriver, and I will also explain Selenium grid, okay, so that it will be useful to you. Okay. These are the different types of components of Selenium, and as I discussed yesterday, you should be having Eclipse, JDK, whatever we discussed, Selenium libraries to be there in your system. Once JDK is installed, you want to set the environment variables as per the yesterday's session. Okay, please see the other videos for installing. And you have downloaded Eclipse. What we need to do is you need to right click on the Eclipse zip file, click on extract all, so that all the components are to be extracted, and you will be seeing one icon called as eclipse.exe. Okay, click on this icon and you will get to see those things. Okay, I would like to show you that also. Okay, once you have extracted this, you will be getting the icons like this, and if you can see there is an eclipse.exe, just double click on it, Eclipse will be opened with like this. Okay, a workbench is white space area with a white space area, and if you can see any workbench like kind of thing in the top right corner, click on the workbench area, you will be navigated to this. Okay, by tomorrow you should be able to open Eclipse. You should be installing Java, I mean to say JDK, in your system, so that it would be easy to go ahead and learn the concepts of Java initially, because if you want to write the scripts, you want to learn about Java. Okay, I would like to, anyways, I'm there with you. I would like to explain you the Java concepts so that you can get clear view of those things. What do you say, guys? Okay, the last 5 minutes is for questionnaire session. Okay, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me.